Well, hi everybody. It's really it's nice to come up here and see you all, and thank you very much for having me. We've had two really good speakers this morning, and you're going to have one really good one this afternoon. And I don't know where Brian is right now, but he'll be back and it'll be really good. But I'm not really a speaker, so we're going to have a talk. And I don't know why you put that picture up there, but that's okay. I'll just give you a little bit of a background on me. I grew up on a Holstein farm, a commercial grade farm in Iowa. Dad and Mom milked 60 cows. Graduated from Iowa State University in dairy science. Too many years ago, went to work for Purina Mills, actually selling feed as a district sales manager. Then I got promoted a couple times and ended up as a regional sales manager in 7 states. And decided that I wanted to do something on my own, so I quit. Started my own nutrition company called Dairy Consulting Services, which is still in existence. I don't do a lot with that company anymore. I still own a majority of it, but we've got some good people doing some work down in the Midwest states doing nutrition work. You know, from there, I've been involved in the Holstein business pretty much all my life. Been real fortunate to own some good cattle, some great cattle, and have enjoyed all of it. But I really enjoy the people more than I do the cows, because I've met several friends back in that back table back there, and that's really, for me, that's what this is all about. But I'm here today to talk a little bit about Butz Hill exports. Bruce Smith was a good friend of mine with Oregon Farms, and had a relationship for 25 years with Genetics Hokkaido in Japan, marketing embryos to that market over there. And I'm sure a lot of you have known Bruce, and was a great guy, and he passed away last year. But before that happened, in August of 2010, he asked me to purchase his business. At that time, I thought, well, it'd be nice to do something different than the nutrition business, so I decided to take on the challenge of marketing embryos. And I had sold quite a few embryos to Japan with Bruce and Tommy Araki, who works for Genetics Hokkaido. So, I've been doing that for about 1.5 years. It's been interesting. It's been good. We market, I guess I should talk. I market exclusively through Genetics Hokkaido. And that is located in Sapporo, Japan. And for those of you that don't know about the Japanese market, a little bit about it, it's a relatively small market, more of a niche market, and you know, they like the high-type show cows, the high-profile cow families, sire stacks, not so much on the genomic side. The way they work over there is Genetics Hokkaido sells dairy and beef semen, along with having an embryo business, and they run it kind of like a distributorship, as we know it here in this country. Route trucks drive around to individual producers, farmers, and they sell embryos and semen off those trucks. Beef and dairy. And then our business is quite honestly, it's a small market. Like I said, we sell approximately 100 embryos a month to Japan, between Canada and the US. Currently, about 30% of our embryos that I sell to those guys come from Canada. And there's several people in here I bought embryos from, and several more I hope to buy from in the future. I think the interesting thing, if you look at this, is when I look at selling embryos or anything else, is that to me it's all about the money. I mean, Don made a really good point earlier about sometimes you don't have to sell the top dollar embryo to make money, and those decisions that you make help cash flow the rest of the operation. And within Genetics Hokkaido, it's a really good relationship that I have with them. It's a little unique because I'm their exclusive supplier of embryos in the U.S. and Canada. Genetics Hokkaido as a company also buys through, I want to get this right because I don't work with them, but Gen Elite buys some embryos for Japan. The company itself will buy those embryos and make bull pregnancies, and they'll use those bulls in their bull studs for their semen sales. I only work with the customer side. So that's a little bit there. Gravestone Genetics handles all the shipments from Canada for me currently. What I'll do is I'll contact the breeders, we'll agree on a price, we'll buy the embryos, and Gravestone will actually do the shipment for me. Like I said, you know, they like the high type cow families, the high show, the high profile, and they do purchase some genomic embryos, but it's only by order only. They don't stockpile quite a lot of embryos today. Sex semen embryos is a big thing right now. It makes up about 30% of our business. With the price of recipients and feed and overhead in Japan, it costs a lot of money to put those calves on the ground. And for the most part, bulls don't do them any good. I think one thing you can do to help yourselves, I think this is termed a genetic workshop, you have to promote your animals. When I was in Japan last spring for a show, everybody wanted to know about this show cow, that show cow, this cow family, that cow family, and they read everything. So you have to promote your genetics, and I think the best way to do it is get good pictures. This is a cow that's pretty famous right now, and she takes a good picture, and she's eating better in real life. But you know, when a cow wins a show, whether it's Frosty or it's Missy, you know, those people are all over that cow family's embryos. And a good picture, most of those guys never get to see those cows. So the only thing that they see is a picture of the cow. I think if you get a good picture, you have to advertise her. We have a lot of different ways to advertise cattle today. Put them in print, you have websites, everybody gets an email. It's as easy as ever to advertise your product. And I think the other thing that separates the guys that do a really good job of marketing and those that don't is they package things. I'll get between 700 to 1,000 embryos a week offered for sale. I'll call and say, hey, I've got this, 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 and this. And I'll ask, well, what do we got? Do we got pictures? We can always grab a pedigree, of course. And then I package that to Tommy Araki, my contact at Genetics Hokkaido, and I send that on to him. So if you make my job a little easier, if I don't have to find a picture somewhere, it's a little easier for me to get the information to those guys. So I have to encourage you all to, if you're into this type of a market, if you're trying to get into this type of market, picture, picture, picture. Picture when the cows are at their best, picture the heifers, make sure they're in good shape, make sure they're clean. If you don't get a good picture, go back and repicture. Because when you're working with high-type show cattle and our high-type cow families and individuals that are outstanding, you want them to look outstanding. And it'll help you in the long run. I guess I'd like to stop right now and ask if there's any questions on Genetics Hokkaido and selling in the Japanese market. It's a real quick overview. There's a lot of different places to sell embryos today. It is a niche market. And I guess from my standpoint, if Dan at CMEX is buying embryos, there are plenty of embryos out there. You know, there's a lot of different places to sell your stuff. But if you want to get in this market, Dave, I'm sorry.
What's your percentage heifers or cows? Do we buy mostly cows? Do we buy other heifers?
You know, right now it's about 50%. 50 virgin heifers and 50 on the cow side. I think, you know, I can't tell historically, Dave, because when Bruce was doing it, I don't know what was being done. I think if you look back just a year ago, in an earthquake and a tsunami in Japan, devastated that country, devastated the dairy industry. And for right now, though, they are about 50-50. All right, well, we're going to go on a little bit about the future. Jason asked me not only to talk about Genetics Hokkaido and selling embryos to the Japanese market, but he asked my views on genomics and everything else. And I guess I have been fortunate, like I said before, to own some really good cows. And I grew up in a, not a show world, but I did fall in love with the show cows. But it became very much apparent to me that that was a very elitist group of things to try to market from. And my father was very diversified on our farm. We had dairy cows, we had hogs, we had beef cows. And I think you can do the same thing with genomics and supplement what you're doing today. Today, the easy money, quite honestly, is in the genomic side. For selling embryos, even though it's not through Genetics Hokkaido, but if you look at the big dollar cows that have been sold in the last year and a half, yep, there's been some big dollar show cows, but there's been a lot more big dollar genomic cows being sold. And I think it's just another way to market. I think it's risk reward, as Don talked about a little earlier. If you're not familiar with it, it's something that you really need to do your homework with. Something I'd be happy to talk to anybody about from my perspective, not that I know everything about it at all, but I think we've done some good things. There's groups of people. I've never seen as much outside money come into our business as it has since this genomic thing started out. I mean, it's really, in the States, has become a major player out there, dominates the sales. Not only from the number of cattle, but from the average selling price. We had a sale in Iowa, had 17 head on it 2 weeks ago. It averaged $12,750. I looked at that sale bill and I said, well, there really isn't anything I need in this sale. I mean, it's a lot of money. And I'm going to preach a little bit because I really think in Canada, you people are more poised to take advantage of that than we are in the States. You have a milk market that's real steady. And if you don't hit the high genomic cow, you can still milk a lot of money out of it. And you can still sell embryos out of not the highest ones, but you can sell good embryos anywhere, as long as you have a nice sire stack and a good cow family. So I think you have a tremendous opportunity to capitalize on this genomic thing. And maybe you're already on it. I'm not trying to preach to anybody. I'm just trying to say that I think there's more than one way to do it. With your milk market, you can come out of the hole a lot better than we can at $12 milk. So, open genomic testing of bulls. I think Brian's going to touch more on that later. I really don't want to push into that. Everybody's talking about 2013 being able to genomic test your own bulls. I think it's just a way, personal opinion, again, I think it's a way to, might open some doors for some people. I personally don't think I can distribute. I think that's what semen sales are. I don't have the expertise to distribute semen. I guess if you hit the #1 bull, probably an easy deal, but how many of them are around? One. So, my opinion on open genomic testing of bulls is, for me, I think it might give you a little more leverage. If you get a high when the game's over and, they all know what they're going to buy and we know what we're going to sell. So, from that standpoint, I think that's about, I'm not all that excited about it, I guess, from my standpoint. Different marketplaces to sell genetics, of course, Japan. Dan, I think you said you're selling to multiple countries, quite a few. There's lots of places to sell genetics. But I think the important thing from a marketing standpoint, what you guys are trying to do and make money, is to help yourself, promote your cattle, get good pictures, get completed production records, classify. Dan and I were talking classify before the deadline, so you don't have to wait for another genomic run or something you could improve on. And ask for help. Honestly, guys, I'm going to learn a lot more today sitting in that back table than you guys are going to listen to me talk up here. Because your fellow breeders and smart people are all around this room that I know. I don't know anybody that's not willing to share any information. We're not in competition with each other for the most part. Because there's a great market out there. Europe's taking a lot of high genomic embryos right now, things like that. So I'm short, sweet, and to the point, so I was hoping for just a heck of a lot of questions to kind of get my time filled up. So go ahead, give me some questions.
Why is Japan maybe taking more of those show cows, good cow families, and not as much on the genomic side?
Well, I think number one, they're a traditional country. I mean, if you look at their way of life and the way that they do things, they're very traditional in their thinking. They have some breeders that want genomics, but for the most part, the breeders adore great cows. And Lila Z's, Missy's right now, Frosty's last year, the gold ones, and things like that. They just like good cattle. They like the same kind of cattle I think most of us in this room like. And so they're more comfortable buying them. And their milk market supports them as well. They can make money milking cows. So longevity is important to them. Good cow families. They have a lot of shows over there. And Callum, how many shows do they have a year?
I'm not sure, but it's a lot of them.
I mean, a lot. A lot. And they support each other. I mean, they go from show to show to show to show. And it's a social event like it is here, but, they like it. That's the kind of cows they like. And if you walk in their farms, the first cows they want to show you are their best cows, show cows. So I think that's why they buy what they buy. But I think it's changing a little bit too, Jason.
A couple of questions. First question, have you owned cattle in partnership?
A few, yeah.
What made the partnership a successful partnership and what made the partnership not?
Good question. And a tough question. First of all, I think a good partnership is one in which everybody wins. And I think the easiest thing to bring to a partnership is money. I think you have to have integrity and a willingness to work together because we are dealing with something that dies, gets sick, blows a quarter, goes lame. I mean, things happen. And so I think you have to be above board and you have to be a little forgiving because if I was going to take care of a cow, something could happen to her too. But good partnerships revolve around not the animal but the people. And I've been in a lot of partnerships. A couple guys in the back of the room I'm in partners with. Been in partners, not you. Yeah, because they'd all be getting sold in March, or 5 weeks, and I wouldn't know about it. But I try to be a good partner. I try to pay my bills when they're due, and I think that's important because I'm not the one doing the work every day. But I think I've been real lucky. Gary and I have owned cattle together. Callum and I have owned some really good cows together. I don't know if we've ever had a problem. It's kind of treat people how you want to be treated. So I think there's some things though to set up at the beginning of a partnership that's very important. Okay, what's the board bill? Because there should be one. Or if you're buying a cow and you're, say Callum's housing her, I give him a quarter to house her, a half, or whatever he negotiates with me. It has to be spelled out. And from that point forward, okay, if I give you a quarter of the cow or a half, what are my bills? Do I pay just flush bills, recipient bills? Because now the game's changed so much on the, you probably shouldn't be in partnership with a $1,500 heifer. I mean, it just doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But again, that's my opinion. But you can rack up twice the value of the cow in a flush bill, show bills, housing bills, because it all costs money. And so those things should be spelled out first. And I think there should be an exit plan. Most of the problems I've ever had in a partnership has been because I have maybe been more lackadaisical than I should have been, and we've let that partnership go from one generation to two, and that's where it really ought to stop. I mean, at babies, in case in point, I own a third of Missy. She had a great year, and I will say this: I am honored to own that cow. You don't get to own those kind. Is it a smart business move? Yeah, time will tell. I'm not out of her, if you want to know. But I am honored to own that cow. But that in point is we're selling all of our heifers. I think this spring we've got 11 going to sales. Those things, it just doesn't need to go any farther. Morris and the great people, they're way out in Alberta. I'm stuck in Iowa. You know, when you own those kind, you kind of like to see them more than a couple times a year, but it's just me. But I think those things have to, you know, I think there just has to be a stopping point. And I'm not so much that I have to put it all down on paper. It's just kind of one of those things where you look at it and you say, well, it's time. So that's kind of my view on partnerships. I know I circled around it, but and I think I think partnerships are great. It allows me to invest in more cows, and hopefully it allows the other guy to invest in more cows. There's a lot of money involved in some of these, hundreds of thousands, millions of dollars. It just isn't a game for everybody. Not everybody's got that kind of money to play. But I enjoy a lot of my partnerships, most all of them. The ones I don't, I'm out of. No, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Sometimes you can't always get a picture of the photographer in your time. Is it useful to, you know, snap a video or some shots that way in the market?
Anything's good. Anything's good. Anything's better than nothing, unless she's a puke. You know, well, guys, some of these genomic things don't look like we want them to look. Well, I'm not lying. You guys have all seen him and said, oh, I wouldn't have her in my barn, and she goes for $150,000. You know, but yeah, anything's better than not. And I guess I forgive. You know, I bought quite a few genomic animals. I still continue to buy genomic animals. I believe in the process and the technology, and I think we'll be better. I think we'll be better because of it down the road. But they're not the kind of cattle, as a rule, that I like. And but I do understand that there's a way to make money with them. But yeah, if you've got anything, snapshot, a video, you know, anything to get on the embryo side for Japan, anything you've got that can help distinguish your animal is going to help you. We good?
Well, there's.
I didn't see anybody fall asleep.
No. Well, there's certainly a time for questions later on as well. So thank you,
Yeah,
Mark.
thank you guys.